Hello and welcome everyone to Amigos 21st Century IAS. I am Adnan. In today's segment, we'll be seeing two important news items which could be helpful for prelims perspective. So the first one is very much in news, Sengol. Now, this Sunday on 28th May, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is inaugurating the new parliament building. So one important highlight of this particular inauguration is the placement of this Sengol beside the Lok Sabha Speaker's chair. So what is the cultural significance of Sengol and what is the background of this? Let us discuss. So I'll be just showing you the first thing here. So this is a 5 feet tall Sengol, and you can see on the top of this Sengol there is Nandi bull as well. So I'll be discussing the significance of that as well. So if we start with this, basically Sengol represent the cultural significance here. Now there is a background behind this. So what happens basically is, before we start with the background, first let us have some overview. Sengol is 5 feet long staff with its top adorned by Nandi, a divine bull, which is vehicle of Lord Shiva, and there is a symbolic importance to the Nandi as well. Nandi represents the fairness, justice, or we can say righteousness also. It represents the Nyaya. So that is a symbolic importance of having this hand carved Nandi on top of this sceptre. So sceptre here means, in the past we used to see lot of monarchs, the kings used to use this kind of scepters to hold. It used to mark the transfer of power from one king to the other king. So if we say in Telugu, we can use the word Raja Dandam. That is the significance of this sceptre. And next segment, what is the origin of this particular word? Because it is from Tamil Nadu, from Tamil, the word is Semmai. So it means righteousness. The word Sengol is coming from Semmai, and it is usually made from gold or silver. And the next segment is the historical significance is Chola Empire. So if we see the historical background of this particular Sengol, the Chola Empire, which has ruled much of the southern India from 9th century to 13th century common era, they had several kings in their dynasty. If there is any kind of transfer of power from one monarch to the other monarch, this scepter would be handed over to the current monarch. That means it represents the authority which is being transferred from one person to the other person. It has a very important symbolic value here. So that is one significance here. Now when it comes to the other aspect here, what is the context of India having this Sengol installed in the new parliament building? So for this we have to go back to the independence time of India. So on 14th August 1947, when the transfer of power was happening, at that time we had Lord Mountbatten as the Governor General. So there is a legend which says that Lord Mountbatten had asked Nehru that when we are transferring the power from the British Crown to India, to the Indian government, should there be any kind of cultural ceremony? That was the question was asked. Now, before I proceed with this story, there are some disagreements over the origin of this Sengol. So many historians have disputed the theory which is being told by the government. Just keep this in mind. So what the legend or the story says is, while transfer of power was happening, Lord Mountbatten had requested Nehru, is there any kind of ceremonial way of transferring the power? So Nehru has entrusted this particular job to C. Rajagopalachari, who was fondly called as Rajaji. Now C. Rajagopalachari is from Tamil Nadu, and as we know, he has been the first and the last, the only Governor General of independent India from June 1948 to 26 Jan 1950. He was the first and last Governor General of India. So he was entrusted with this task by Nehru to find out if there are any cultural rituals which can be done. So C. Rajagopalachari had consulted the important Shaivite mutt in Tamil Nadu, that is Tiruvavadurai. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, Tamil words, excuse me if it's wrong. So Tiruvavadurai Adhinam, it is a Shaivite mutt which actually was given this job of making the Sengol. So Shaivites are the followers of Lord Shiva. They are very much in prominence in Tamil Nadu. So what happens, this scepter was made by Ummidi Bangaru Chetti. There is a jewelry shop or diamond merchants are there. This job was, the mutt has given this job to this particular jewelry shop, and they have actually made this Sengol. Fine. So they are based in Chennai. And the next is what currently, who is the head of this particular Adnir mutt is Srila Sri Ambalavana Swamigal is the current head of this Adhinam. Some factual data here, because this question can be asked in the prelims or any MCQ based exam. So these are the facts of this particular matter. So the story says that once this particular jewelry shop has made those Sengol, that was flown into Delhi. Again, in today's Hindu paper, if you see, this particular theory has been disputed by saying that there was no plane which was brought to bring these people. So keep in mind, this is all a story which has been told by the government of India, and in YouTube also, in Sansad TV has given one small documentary kind of video which they explain, where they explain the entire sequence of events. But again, it is disputed by the historians. Fine. For us, what matters for the exam is the bare facts of the matter. Fine. So once the scepter was made ready and it was presented to Nehru on 14th August 1947. Before that, what happens, as the formality goes, a representative of this particular mutt has gone to Delhi and met Mountbatten and gave the Sengol to Mountbatten. Mountbatten held it for some time, and again Mountbatten had given the scepter back to the representative of the mutt, and then the representative went to Nehru and handed over the Sengol. That means this Sengol scepter has been used as a kind of symbolic transfer of power from British crown to India. But again, there are many people who would say that this Sengol is not just symbolic gesture, it represents the true diversity of India, appreciating the cultural aspects of India. That is one of the explanation given by some people, because opinions are quite divided on this matter. Lot of TV heated debates we are seeing on this Sengol issue, because people are saying that India is a democracy, it's not monarchy, so how can you give some kind of transfer of power from one person to other person? How can it happen in democracy? But again, other set of people say that it is democratic tradition of India where people hold their rulers accountable, so there is nothing wrong with giving this kind of scepter. So that means there are divided opinions on this matter. For us, what is important is to understand the historic significance of this particular event. So that is the explanation regarding scepter. If we go to the second news, which is very important again for prelims perspective, as we all know, India has started this project Cheetah, wherein we are taking this African cheetahs and trying to introduce them into India. Even though we are using this word called reintroduction, but technically it is not right, because India had Asiatic cheetahs which became extinct in 1952 when we formally declared them as extinct. So what we have done, we have taken the African cheetahs into India. Why not Asiatic cheetah, you may ask? Asiatic cheetah population right now is only in Iran, and the populations have declined so badly that just half a dozen, or we can say 1 dozen or 12 species of this cheetah are surviving in the wild in Iran. That means they are getting closer to extinction. So obviously we could not take the cheetah from there. So what we have done, we have taken this from African countries. That means Namibia has given the first batch 8 cheetahs to India, and recently we have also taken 12 cheetahs from South Africa. But what is the problematic thing here is, one by one cheetahs are dying. So these cheetahs, some of them have died because of renal failure, kidney failure, one by cardiac arrest, and other female died because of the courtship, fights going on between the male cheetah species. And then in March, a cheetah has given birth to 4, but now 3 of them have died, 3 cubs have died. So now some alarming signs are there. So while making this cheetah project, government of India already kept in mind that in the first year we may be expecting 50% mortality here. So before I go into this particular segment, let us first have some facts. So cheetah, because they're dying, the government of India has brought a high level committee to oversee the project. So before that, if I just tell some important points before I go into this, cheetahs are of 2 types, Asiatic and African, I just told you. So Asiatic cheetahs are only 12 right now in the wild in Iran, and African cheetahs are less than 7,000 in the wild. They are scattered across different countries of African continent. And if I talk about the IUCN status, which talks about the red list, that means the conservation status of various species, and vulnerable is the criteria or the red list status of the African cheetah. And then if you talk about the Asiatic cheetah, when I say it's only 12, it means it will be critically endangered, CR. Critically endangered is the IUCN status for the Asiatic cheetah. That is the difference here. We have taken African cheetahs, do not forget it. And generally in the wild, cheetahs are weak animals out of this tiger, leopard and lion cats, and their mortality rates are quite high. And cheetahs are extreme range breeding animals. They keep on moving to different ranges, but they are the weakest of all the four cats, the big cats what we know in the wild. And when you talk about the cubs, as soon as the cubs are born, the cheetahs have 90% mortality of the cubs. That how difficult it is for the cheetahs to survive in the wild. But keeping all these factors in mind about cheetahs, still the questions are coming. Like if we are able to sustain these particular cheetahs in our Madhya Pradesh Kuno Palpur Sanctuary. So that is another factual data here. Kuno Palpur Sanctuary is the place where, or we can say national park in Madhya Pradesh, where we have brought these cheetahs. But questions are coming whether this Kuno Palpur National Park is having enough space and logistical support to sustain these many cheetah populations, or should we go for some kind of other nearby wildlife sanctuaries where we can translocate again these cheetahs there, because the viable populations have to exist there. Some people say that the carrying capacity of Kuno Palpur has already reached to its limits, so there's not enough space and we have to translocate the cheetahs again to the nearby sanctuaries. So important sites proposed here are, apart from this particular Kuno Palpur, Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary again in Madhya Pradesh, and again Madhya Pradesh we have Naura Dehi Wildlife Sanctuary. Again factual data important for the exam, sanctuaries and national parks. Not only this, in the adjoining Rajasthan they want to also shift these particular Mukundra Tiger Reserve. They want to shift this cheetahs, and as of now there are not much tigers in Mukundra Tiger Reserve. So, and it is properly fenced. So fencing model is South African model where you are able to save this cheetah from its predators, like for example lion, and we have to make sure that they survive in the wild. So properly fenced Mukundra Tiger Reserve we can explore, and put some enough prey base like herbivores there, so that the cheetahs can be having viable prey population. But again, many activists have condemned this. They told we have to focus more on tiger reserve here, but not the cheetahs. And then other Gandhi Sagar and Nauradehi wildlife sanctuaries are also being considered, like if we can translocate this particular cheetahs from Kuno Palpur to these other sites. So please just see the geographical extent of this particular tiger reserve, wildlife sanctuary, national park. They can be asked in the prelims exams. So what happens now is, because of the death of these 6 cheetahs, central government has set up a very important high level steering committee with 11 members, and in this committee they will be monitoring how this project has started and what is going on right now, and they will suggest some of the measures in order to stop this halt of many mortality of the cheetah species. So what happens here is Global Tiger Forum. So it's an intergovernmental body which oversees the conservation of tigers. It is as of now headed by Rajesh Gopal. He is Secretary General of this particular Global Tiger Forum, and he is going to be the chair of this particular high level steering committee. So that's the news, two important news from today's the Hindu. So remaining topics we'll be seeing in the coming class. Thank you.